All right, welcome to the
Do we have an intro for this?
second episode of
Ball Status.
That's the intro.
That's the intro, bro.
That's the intro.
All right, before we get started, meat is dying over here, so let's just thank our sponsors, Merica Energy. I'm going with the Patriot Punch today.
Ooh, I'll taste a little freedom.
That was crispy.
Doodum boom boom. Oh yeah.
One day I think I'm just gonna
Boom.
I love the fruit punch,
either
bro.
shotgun
Yeah.
or just straight up chug after the first.
Doodum boom boom.
You like listen to yourself, Carl? Is that what you're doing?
He is, because it sounds really good in the mic.
do sound good.
You have to finish it when you started. You know, it's
You
like,
always finish it.
You always finish where you start, Carl.
All right, so today's episode. So the last week or a couple weeks ago, the first episode, we talked about our core values. I think it was a good episode. Yeah. I've actually sent that to multiple people already, saying potential new people coming into our company and said, pretty much watch this before we talk anymore. Make sure that you're fully aligned with these core values. So if nothing else, it's going to be like we're going to be able to send that to.
It's our corporate introduction video.
Yes.
Yeah, any resume we get, we just send that, and if that don't tinkle you,
if that scares you,
If you don't send back a woo,
woo.
like a real woo.
a real woo. I wasn't gonna woo in front of.
So today, we are going to talk about small business, not small-mindedness, right?
Right.
So this has been on our minds for quite some time because, I think any business under 500 employees is considered a small business, and we're certainly well into that.
I actually have that question. What does consider you a small
I want to say it's like 500 employees, which is crazy.
That's
right?
a lot. That's a lot
crazy.
of business.
So we're like a micro. We're like a micro PP.
Yeah, we're still.
I was thinking.
Yeah, I know you were. As soon as you went, Mike. Yeah, it's terrible. So yeah, we're.
I'm thinking like in The Hangover when they like.
Oh yeah, the little monkey.
Yeah.
That's a great scene. Yeah. Anyways, where was I? So small business, not small-mindedness. And so when we first got into starting these businesses, the brands, the stores, we certainly had what we're calling kind of small-mindedness. And if we talk about situations that you listening, you feel like that's you, don't take offense to this because we made the same mistakes. So this is not to offend anybody, but these are things that we see in our business, right?
And we're here to share experiences. And
Exactly.
So like we're using examples that come across our plate like that, which are our experiences.
Sure.
So, but we're not here to offend anybody. That is definitely not our goal.
But we probably will because that's what we end up doing usually somehow. So let's just dive in here. So where do we want to go first? There's a couple topics that I have in mind here that we talked about earlier today that we want to talk about. One has to do with exclusives. One has to do with distribution. One has to do with brand ambassadors in the business. Where do you guys want to start? I'm going to go right into it.
I think if we could break down and help people, because we get a lot of viewers that aren't, they're fans. They love what we do. They love the content that they put out. Maybe if we can help break down what we mean by that, right? Like by thinking big, right? So even though you're a small business or you're an entrepreneur, you're a single entrepreneur, don't have a small mind. Like what does that mean besides just thinking big?
Yeah. So I think too many people get caught up in what the guy down the street is doing and that everyone is against them. So then they are always feeling like they're being attacked and they're always reacting to things that happen externally when they really should be focused on internally making themselves better, making their business better, making the experience better for the customer. So I'm assuming everyone watching this knows we have 11 retail stores. So Carl Frady, he's the AKA the Cuck. He is the general manager. We have 4 brands under this roof here that are sold in the Nutrition Corners, but around the world. Patrick's the national sales director for those brands. So we are talking specifically what we see in the dietary supplement industry. Because at the end of the day, Boss Status is about the business of health and the health of business. So this is where we're coming from, but this could apply to really anything, any business. So one of the things that we saw or we did early on, you remember doing this, Carl? Exclusives.
Oh yeah.
So this is a big one, and I think a lot of mom and pop brick and mortars out there are like really want a brand exclusive, right? More so territorially, right? Like I don't want you selling to Joe Schmo down the street because I want to own this town for the brand, right? And we did that.
Yeah, it's such a prehistoric. And now that we really do talk about this, because I'm listening in the previous meeting and just like, where do I fall in as far as like the retail side of some of the things that you guys are talking about? And so I remember when you first started, and I would get pitched a brand and be like, oh, we can offer you exclusivity. And it just, okay, that's really cool. Thank you. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's like, it didn't mean anything because your brand was sold online and you were, in that case, you were doing a lot of whoring of it out, let's be real.
Well, I mean, I think, I mean, the brand exclusives was something that we did push for a while.
Not saying we were whoring our brand. Right. I'm just saying brands that were coming to me. They were,
they're sold on Amazon for super cheap, yet they're going to give you a brand exclusive in their territory.
But think back, let's go back to 2016.
Yeah, so back then,
when we started expanding the force.
So we went from 3 to 7 stores that year.
Right. And we were like,
oh, hell yeah.
We got this. We big time.
And we knew all our competitors in the area, the few other mom and pops in Virginia.
Who weren't doing anything.
Who weren't doing anything and who now are not in business.
Right.
We were like, oh, we're gonna bury them, and like we're gonna put them out of business. We run this town. We're gonna run this town, which was actually it was stupid. Like the moves that we made, where we literally, because we did have more power at the time, we could literally cut a brand off from them. Like, hey, we're not gonna buy your brand unless you cut them off.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing that we found, I think, the thing that I found is, that created more bad blood and bad juju, a bad karma, whatever you want to call it, than anything else. Maybe a lot of our customers didn't know about that, but like it didn't feel right to me.
Yeah, it's
like
the mindset that created wasn't a right mindset for business.
So like, if we cut somebody off, then next thing you know, they're going to be talking crap about us and all that. So we made a decision. When did we make a decision where we're going to basically do the opposite of that?
I think it was after our, I don't know what you call it, but we went to First Form headquarters, the old one, and we kind of had that revelation with those guys.
Yeah, when you drove 18 hours.
Yeah, we drove 16 hours and counted all the deer that were dead on the side of the road.
That's a story for another time.
In the rate van. That was a good time. But I think we came away from that and we were like, I don't know if they touched on that during that meeting, but I think we went back and created this whole new Nutrition Corner experience that we were going to focus on. And that was going to be our driving factor moving forward. So it's hard 2017, like the end.
So that was great. So that was a meeting that we had. We were actually pitching our brands to supplement superstores. So we
went there like trying to get a meeting with Chris Klein. Got it.
So so that was like it went from an hour meeting to a 6-hour meeting. Yeah. And I think I mean they are good dudes, right? Like we clicked very well. I mean, they're clearly super busy, right? And to have Sal and Andy in a room for 6 hours talking to us when they didn't need to, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And we appreciated their insight, and I think they respected what we were doing because we were growing and doing things that a lot of other people couldn't do. So I think what we saw from them is like, well, we weren't direct competitors really, but there was no reason for them to not help our retail stores, but they extended an olive branch to us, right?
Oh,
so
walked away with so many great,
and they helped us basically how to think about
how
about our retailer. Think bigger, exactly. Right. And so we literally, I was like, all right, I'm getting on a flight, guys. We had a whole plan to drive.
Me and Carl were going to go back through Texas and all these southern states. We were going to hit the road. Yeah. And Doug was like, guys, cancel everything. I'm flying back right now. You drive 16 hours tomorrow. We got a big day on Monday. All right.
Yes, sir.
Carl's like,
5 energy drinks into
oh
this.
my gosh.
We're counting deer carcass that we drive by.
You drove the whole way. You said, I'm not going to stop driving until you say, like, you want to drive.
Yeah.
I think I passed out for like an hour. I felt bad because I was trying to, like, be
It was in a groove, baby.
It was a trip.
So, but we got back there and we realized what we needed to do is kind of revamp our Nutrition Corner experience. And so that was 4 or 5 years ago. And that really was the impetus
that
for
really was the turning point. Now that, we're talking about that, because it is like, what was it? And it was that meeting, and it was all about what was your experience? What were you doing to control, what were you doing to change the experience within the store? Not, I wouldn't say control, but it's because you can't control that,
Well, so that basically made us streamline, get rid of all the other things that you think really matter, which like the store exclusives and all that other stuff. And they definitely didn't say that. They didn't. The exclusives weren't even discussed. It was just that was just kind of when we were revamping. I was like, why are we doing this? Yeah. And actually, we took the opposite approach, and we started actually helping our competitors. Like we would have conversations. We would give contacts of the reps that we worked with to other retailers that were semi-local, and we said we gave them advice, right?
And then we started selling core nutritionals to our neighbors that were right next to our store. Right.
So then that was the other thing. That was one thing that I did take away from First Form was own your backyard, right? Where they don't care. They want First Form everywhere. So you go out there and there's First Form everywhere, right? Like every gym sells it, and so at the time, Core was a huge seller in our stores and we didn't want to sell it to the store down the street. But, one, we helped them with some other stuff that made our relationship better. Then we put our products in their stores, right? Yeah. So that maybe you could, if you're small-minded, you would think that, because your product is in that store down the street, it's going to take away from your sales. But that wasn't the case. That increased brand awareness. That became what we would call the "we out here" effect, right? And then people would start understanding, like, wow, like what is this Core brand, right? They'd see it everywhere. And so we started putting Core everywhere in the DMV, anywhere we could. So that was definitely something that I took away from First Form. I remember them saying that, like, own your backyard, like, put your stuff everywhere. And maybe that was what was the impetus to us changing our just vision on exclusives, because we no longer were exclusive ourselves in our own stores. Like, why do we need another brand to be exclusive, right? Well, you get this a lot on the other side because you get vendors asking you for exclusives in their stores,
right?
And we don't, for the most part, we don't give it.
No. For the most part, like, we don't have a program that, like, a territory exclusive program,
right?
That the only time when we will use it is when a trusted partner that consistently buys from us, spends a lot of money with us.
And it carries basically the whole brand.
They carry 80 to 90% of the brand, and they come to me and they're like, hey, if you, in a partnership conversation, this is when I can deal with this, right? Yeah. And like, you come to me like, hey, we're a team. We're going to work on this. Instead of like, hey, dude, cut this guy off, or like, I'm done with you. I'm like, okay, well, see you later, because I just don't want to work that way. But if you come to me and we're a partner and be like, hey, so like this guy down the street, he might reach out to you. The problem with this store is that, and this is usually when they ask for territory exclusives, they'll just undercut. Like, it's that competitor that's down the street that's not focused on their experience, them growing their own business. They're that competitor that's like, you know what? Well, the only way to beat that person is to cheat that person. So I'm going to like do sales and I'm going to undercut their pricing.
Which at the end of the day, that retailer who's asking for that exclusive is really kind of looking out for us in that situation because, that would devalue our brand in general, which we don't want. Right. So that is really the only situation.
And that was a situation that was presented to me like recently, but like there's like New Jersey is a bloodbath, bro. Like this one of the states is one of the smallest states, and it has so many retail stores, and they all hate each other. And that's where it comes down to, like, they're not doing it to look out for the brand. They just don't like, none of them like each other.
So how do you deal with that? Do you just say, dude, we just don't give exclusive? Sorry.
I mean, there's a couple stores that we do give it to. It's just like, it just comes down to the conversation. Maybe they need to watch. I'm just looking out. This is where I don't like doing any of this. It drives me crazy. But like, it's just, who's my partner? Like, who's looking out for this brand and who is going to work well with me to make sure our brand grows? You know, like, if you don't like this person or you're worried about this person, you know, at the end of the day, I've had to cut somebody off, and it's like he was only buying 1 or 2 products from us. You buy 80% of the 90% of the brand, and then I just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and the thing is like that guy really, unless he is truly undercutting, he should not care about the little store down the street. He should be working on, okay, I am a true partner to you. I have all the products. They don't have all the products. So somebody who wants core, a lot of our clients will come and buy 5 of our products. They stick to the brand. So they'll come to my store anyways, and then I'll give them superior service. I'll focus on those things to allow them to come back. Because we all know today, it's not about the brands you carry in your store. It's about the experience and the service that you give. Because you click a button on Amazon, you can have it that day or the next day. You can find that product, right? So it's all about people want to have that experience, and you got to kill them with the experience.
And that's I don't know what you call it. You said not small-mindedness or not small-minded. So I don't know if it's big-minded or
think bigger.
Just thinking bigger. You know,
bigger picture. It's a bigger picture thinking, right? Like, and we'll get into this in a second, but like that goes to like the reaction that we got from some retailers that we went into distribution, a wider spread distribution for core, or that we sell direct to consumer for core. Right.
To speak to any of your retailers who are watching this, because I am the retailer on the other side of that relationship. And
you are our biggest retailer.
You know, damn right I am.
You are our biggest retailer.
You know, but
fighting for margin every day,
and we don't even give you an exclusive, bro.
I love it. And but to all of those retailers that are out there, and not just even in this, it really boils down to the key word that you talked about, and that's one of the big things that I stressed in every single conversation when I was the buyer for the company, is I'm here to create a relationship. I said, give me a fair price, and then let's look at this relationship at the end of a year. If it's not working for you, then let me know why, and maybe it's something I can fix, maybe it's something I can't fix. And if this relationship is progressing the right way, then give me better pricing. But you know, let's focus on a relationship. Let's focus on having fun. What's fun for you? Not a $10,000 PO. It's consistent POs, and it's supporting the entire brand. So when I talk to somebody, it's like, I'm not here to buy one thing from you. I want everything that you have. I'm going to support your entire product line, and here's what I need from you.
And any sales rep hearing that, bro, should be drooling at the mouth, ready to go and ready to play with Carl.
Yes.
Yeah,
Carl likes to be played with. Just for the record, if you're a rep out there trying to get into our stores, just
don't pick up the phone. Just get in a plane.
Get in a plane. Show up face to face. Give him a good
Suck
old
a lollipop.
Man hug. You know, rub your cheeks together. Do a little Delta 8, and then go shoot some guns or talk about guns and blowing stuff up. And you'll be.
It's about creating relationships, and a lot of the retailers and a lot of people that are just bottom line in the industry, they haven't been around long enough to experience the blessing that comes from that relationship. And luckily I have been here for 8 years, and you just imagine when I'm in this industry for 20. But when you really focus on building a relationship,
I'm not gonna be able to handle you in another 12 years.
You know, it's like, it's fun. Like, we're all having fun. You don't worry about these controlling factors. Right. It's just about, hey, dude, let's have some fun. You know, one of the things that I love talking about, and some of our best brands that do a great job of this, but it's creating exclusive swag. Like, what are you not going to find from another retailer or from Amazon or anything? And you can only get it through the Nutrition Corners when you support the brand through the Nutrition Corners, whether it's in store or online. That's a lot of fun.
Well, the other thing I think you got to remember here is that it is the buyer / rep relationship is a two-way street. And I think a lot of times the buyer, the buyer is thinking that he is always right, and sometimes can come across, you know, where like, yes, the customer is always right, but that's only to some point. To some extent, we treat all our vendors, you know, Carl and the team treat all our vendors with respect, because we are a vendor as well. And I know I can tell when Pat has a shitty day. It's usually because a vendor, or sorry, a store, somebody who's going to be spending money with us, calls and talks to Pat in a way that is pretty degrading. And kind of like, it's a one-way relationship, right? Like, I'm buying from you, so you just have to, you know, take my crap, right? Yeah. When it's not like, it's not your fault. It's not anything that you did or anything like that.
And I put a lot of, I'm not a I'm not a car salesman. I've been in sales pretty much all my career. I'm not a sales guy though. I'm good at building relationships. So when I build this relationship, I put so much energy into this. And when I get a phone call that says, hey, you got a pen and paper? Or like, hey, I'm yelling at you because of this, this, and this. I'm like, bro, what about like everything that I've ever done
what
for
the
you?
F happened to my package?
Yeah.
Like, bro, I can't control once.
Yeah. Where's this at? I'm like, I don't work for Brown. Yeah. I don't work for UPS. But where I was going with that was I was going to, the one-way street thing. You know, I make friends with other reps within this space, within the industry, and we, you know, talks amongst the boys about being a rep and working with stores. And one of the things we talk about is when territory exclusive, it's like, hey, I want an exclusive in this mile radius or whatever. And then I've never pitched this back to a rep store before, but this has been said, I think, in the industry. It's like, okay, cool. Well, I want an exclusive in your store. So how about you only sell core nutritionals at your store?
Yeah, like we don't want you.
Literally, how does that sound to you? Because that's what it sounds like on my end. It sounds pretty crappy. Right?
Or like, I want an exclusive, but I will only buy $1,000 from you a month or something like that. When it doesn't warrant it.
That's my favorite. Here's $300, and can we get like a 10-mile exclusive for $300? I'm pretty sure Joe Schmo, you know, spends $300 a week on our online website.
Yeah,
bro.
direct to consumer. That's a direct to consumer order.
Yeah. Anyways,
so yeah, I mean, one of those things is looking at our competitors, right? Like we were talking about that and why we wanted to cut. Did I just break my mic again? Why we would want to cut off our, you know, like our competitors down the street. And, you know, we were talking about this. The competition is good. We love it. We love beating people. And we'll be honest, like, if we come into a region and we put a chain out of business, or like you know, a big chain moves their store because we came in there, like that's cool. Like, I mean, I feel like we won because we are giving superior customer service, but at the same time, like we should be making them better, right? Like if somebody comes into our territory, you know, first thing that we are going to do is make sure that we are winning in our own house, right? Like making sure that all our systems are in place, the service and the experience is in place. So that should make us better, right? What we do now is we will focus on ourselves and get better because of that competition. So that competition is good. It's a healthy thing, but we're not going to do things that we feel are kind of sketch, like we talked about, which is demanding the store exclusives and stuff like that. We're not going to go to that level. We're just going to refocus on ourselves.
Yep.
Well, I think we talked about it, that we love competition. Competition is a good thing, and competition can be beneficial to each other, right? Like, so like if a store comes to your territory, you know, like welcome them, be friends with them, but just tell them, I'm going to beat your ass, you know? And then that should get them like, well, I'm going to beat your ass.
But it's not looking, I don't want them to fail, right? Like I don't want somebody go through hard times, and I want to win.
Right.
Right. And if that means that somebody else goes out of business because of that, I mean, they should really be looking at themselves. Same if somebody put us out of business, like we need to double up on what we are doing. Like we have to get better, right? Like it should make you adapt.
Well, that competition is healthy in the sense that it's applying pressure to keeping you pushing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like I mean, the supplement space has thousands and thousands of supplement brands, and at the end of the day, we're all competition.
Yeah.
Right. There's no scale or whatever besides, I guess, sales, and nobody's really public with their sales, but like. We apply pressure to each other
to get better.
Right? Yeah. So like without that competition, you don't get better. So
and we are friends with a lot of the brands.
Ton of brands.
I mean, like close friends. Like, and there's enough meat on the bone for everybody. Yes. And so I think that's the thing that people forget, and it is kind of weird, right? Like we actually do help our competitors, but at the same time we want to win, and that is just us being genuine. Like I want to see other people succeed, but it's not going to be at my expense. Like we're not like I don't want to see you succeed and put us out of business, you know? But I think even in the retail game space, there is room for multiple stores in a town, right? Like there's enough space out there for that. So we've taken on the mindset of really helping our competitors, even I would say even more so on the brand side, right? Yeah. Because we get brands asking us all the time about hooking up with suppliers or vendors or whatever, and we always say yes. We don't hold that back anymore.
It's good juju. When we do the Nut Bash or when we go to the Arnold, go to the Olympia, it's just all of us are high-fiving and hugging, and we're talking about families and stuff like that.
It's back to the hugs.
It's just hugs are good. And I said this the other day. I was like loading some stuff up in the car, angry at the world, and I said your handshake should be more valuable than any cash that it can hold, and your hug should say more about love than any word you ever say. And
record that. Can we?
Yeah,
can we get a Gary V right there?
And it really should. I mean, that's the way you should conduct business. Your handshake should mean something, and your hug should mean something. And we have had a lot of fun with what we're doing.
What do your hugs mean, Carl?
It means I love you, Doug.
I know it does. I love that.
Weird as we get older.
Oh man! All right. So, anything else you guys want to say on these exclusives and our competitors in the direct market? All right. Let's talk about brand ambassadors. We want to talk
athletes,
about athletes. Yeah. So this is another kind of small-minded thinking that plagues a lot of, I think, retail stores. So one of the things they look at, is a brand that carries products or sells products on their own website. One, that's something that we do, but we do it in a way.
So I would bring into this sphere. I would bring in direct-to-consumer businesses.
Yeah, So I mean, I think that's two parts here. So we have a direct-to-consumer business where we do. I would probably say it's a quarter. Like last month, for example, it was a quarter of our total business for Core was direct-to-consumer.
There's been some months where maybe it's a third.
A quarter to a third is generally what we do for direct-to-consumer. So we have a lot of ambassadors out there that promote our brand, but most of those ambassadors are not there to get rich. They want to just be a part of something, and that's what we want them to do. We don't ask them. There's no sales requirement like you get kicked out. We just want people that are passionate about the brand, and they get rewarded for selling. But I would say the top 10 of our ambassadors, the top 5, whatever percent, like 3% or whatever percent of our ambassadors do 90% of the sales.
And you were saying the top 10, so top 10 do, but 99.9% of those people want to be a part, like you said, want to be a part of what we have going on.
Yeah.
So that's us remembering that we are a brand, a culture,
a worldwide brand,
a community, not just a product.
Right.
And I think that's the small-minded thinking. A lot of people just think, oh, they just sell a pre-workout. Well, look at it as a bigger picture.
Yeah.
We have 150 SKUs. We've created a community here. We're much larger than just a product in a retail store,
Right.
And that person just wants to be a part of that community.
Yeah. So the small-mindedness is the brick and mortar mom and pop retailer that only wants a brand that doesn't sell on the web or doesn't do direct to consumer, right? But at the end of the day, you look at all the most successful brands, you have to have both, right? Because the direct-to-consumer is a huge portion of building the brand, right? Most people will go directly to a brand website to look at stuff. So, even Nike, you go on the Nike site to look at all their new stuff and look at the product information, but you might go to Dick's to buy a Nike shirt, right? You're learning that through their website. So, you have to have both, and I think some brick-and-mortar retailers get totally turned off by that. And I think that's totally small-mindedness because you're not looking at the bigger picture of building brand awareness, which is eventually going to drive people to your store to look for Core. So the same thing goes with the brand ambassador where, yes, they might have a coupon code, but for the record, we have set up our ambassador program where we actually sell on our website 10% over the MAP price that most retailers sell at. So if you go to our website without a coupon code, you're pretty much, you're going to be paying more than you are at the retailer. So we have, and a lot of our ambassador codes get you down to not, just to MAP price. So you're going to be no better off at that point. Now there are some higher tier coupon codes that can make you save a little bit more, but nothing that should dissuade you if you have good service in your store. So at the end of the day, the way we've set up our website is so that we can continue to support that the retailers, right? Because we knew if we priced 30% under what a retailer pays, then that might be enough to drive somebody to buy for us, but we don't do that, right?
Yeah, part of our Monday meeting, coming up with the deal of the week. Pat, you okay with this?
Yeah, I mean, that's important. So like we maintain the integrity of the brand through that and protect our retailers. But I think the important part is those retailers should be excited that we have a brand where there's a lot of people coming to our site to create that brand awareness. And I think some retailers get upset at that. They get upset if you put a brand ambassador, or not that you put a brand ambassador, but just so happens that somebody becomes a rep for your company, an ambassador, and they happen to live in your same town who might have walked into your store.
Yeah.
So like that's happened before.
Right.
And so we always address that.
Right.
So how do you address it?
Just like the territory thing. We don't have a script for this, right? So you just have to navigate how can the retailer win and how can the ambassador win at the same time, right? How do we not think small? How do we work together?
So the small-minded thinking is them immediately seeing the brand ambassador. Oh my gosh, they're gonna push everyone to the Coors website. They're not gonna come into our store anymore. They're gonna steal all my customers. Blah blah blah. That's the small-minded thinking. The
bigger-minded thinking, the larger picture was like, hey, this person actually can bring brand awareness to this community.
Right.
How can I
work with her partner,
leverage that person to help us both win? Right? Like reach out to that person, make the partnership, make the relationship, and let's work together to make Core Nutritionals, Merica Labz, Arbitrage Nutrition, whatever the brand is, to be a bigger deal in this community.
And maybe that brand rep can also be a store rep to help drive people directly to that store. So maybe because we have that person, we just made that new connection with that retailer and can help them out that way. And maybe they might get a kickback from the store to help drive traffic. Yeah. So like there's a way for us all to work together here. And I think it's the initial freak out of the small-minded thinking is usually kind of what catches us off guard, because we'll get frantic calls all the time about the exclusives and the brand ambassadors and stuff like that, which I just think is just small-minded.
Small-minded thinking.
Yes.
And when you start to think about it, and you think about what we did in 2016,
we get it.
Now looking back at ourselves, like, it's silly.
It is silly, but we understand where that's coming from.
Right.
But it's wrong.
Yeah.
You will succeed way more if you flush those ideas down the toilet. Focus more on your own experience and working with your brands and other people, seeing them as partners, not as like, oh, they're going to try to steal our customers. That's what they're doing.
Right.
And maybe some people in this industry work that way. Like, let's be honest. Maybe there are some shady people out there. But for the most part, even from what we've seen, that's not the case. I mean, I'm sure there's people that do that, but...
What do you mean? Shady people,
like
on which side doing
trying to steal a retailer's customer and pushing them to a store, or just some of these things like that. Maybe there are some low scruple. Is that the right word? Rose?
I don't know.
People with low scruples.
Carl's
what was that? What was the word?
You stumped Doug on something.
Copacetic.
Yes, that's right. That valedictorian.
There's definitely just like there's sketchy, shady brands out there.
Yeah.
There's definitely sketchy, shady retail stores out there.
Oh, for sure.
That are, trying to undercut, trying to cheat, trying to win quick.
If there's anything you can take away from this, and I hope you get that, that's not how we operate.
Yeah.
Right. And so we have found that from working, not like we were doing it sketchy before, but we were thinking small-minded, and now that we think a little more big-minded and really feel that we at least give people the benefit of the doubt that it's not going to go down that way, it's worked out much better for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, the as far as sketchy brands and sketchy retailers,
you've seen them.
I have seen them, and that is past tense, meaning they're gone. I've 8 years, I've seen them rise and seen them fall.
But they're always rising and they're always falling.
Well, I don't know if you still call them this in the store, but when I was in the stores, we used to call them fly-by-night pre-workouts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And
600 milligrams of DMAA.
Yeah, but it's funny, like you talk about the from the retailer side of things, it's they're gone. Like, and it was never our intent to open up a store like Doug's saying, but it wasn't like something you didn't high five when you found out, oh, another one bites the dust, you know, and it's like, you know, we'll joke about it, but it's never been the intent, you know? Right. So, but yeah, you want to be sketch, then have fun drowning. So
yeah, it's funny. A lot of big companies started out sketch and then transitioned away. If you think about it, right? C4 was pretty sketch, you know, back in the day with DMA and, you know, Cellucor and all that stuff.
That's when they were a real supplement company, when they were underground.
Yeah, the good stuff. Yeah, get the good stuff. I mean, Redcon was pretty, you know.
Well, they weren't.
Well, hormones, because they're hormones. Like the pro hormone.
They had a line.
Like sketch. Yeah, well, Blackstone, right?
Well, he was black. Yeah, so he came from a pro hormone based company. But Redcon never had pro hormones.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Yeah, they started off and they.
I think they were just the DHEA ones.
Correct. Yeah, there wasn't the pre-Obama.
I was just trying to think. I feel like even BSN had like pro hormones and stuff like, and I can't say sketch.
BSN started off as like a real drug company.
Yeah, well, let's not get everyone in trouble here.
We need a fact checker here.
Yeah, fact check. But I guess my point, and we got to be careful too, because at the end of the day, if at a period of time that was legal, like we've done a pre-workout back in the day with DMHA, right? When it was
we got a letter for amp citrate.
Yeah, back in the day. So like, I don't want to be casting. All right, what's the expression?
Holier than thou.
Holier than thou. So
something like that.
But you know, there are a lot of brands that wanted to start. Like that wasn't our intention with running like amp citrate.
But that's part of our supplement culture. You know, you want what's. You know, obviously the stuff that C4 or Cellucor was doing wasn't pro-hormone stuff. You know, the good old days of USP Labz.
I feel like that. I feel like some of their stuff back in the day.
It might have had a test booster that had some.
Yeah, like that P6 or something like that.
P6 blacks.
Yeah, like
we're talking a bunch of skeptic. I don't think we really know.
Dude, I know they were trying whatever they could do to put some drugs up in there, you know. So.
I don't know. Yeah, some people, you know, were dipping their toes in that water.
But it's
some
interesting.
People just said, you know, fucking cannonball, we're going in.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's just like, I guess my point, what I was getting at is like some people started that way, and I guess it was legal, and then the good companies are the ones that quickly saw that like this shit's going down, and they transitioned away and took it mainstream. Cellucor, I mean, Redcon did that. You know, that was smart. Right, like they transitioned away. The people that tried to stick in that mud, they're the ones that are dead.
Yeah.
I mean, all those. I mean, I think probably BSN is probably the one that back in the day was sketch and then went mainstream. Mm-hmm. I was gonna say USP Labz, but I don't even know where they fall in that whole thing. Anyways, all right. So the other thing that we wanted to talk about is in this small business, not small-minded. In this podcast is distribution. So this is a big one for us because it's really top of mind right now, right? It's fresh. So Core Nutritionals 4 years ago was distributed through Muscle Foods USA.
Even before 2016, we were.
I think we put out in 2017, right?
2018.
We were there in 2015 because I remember.
Well, for sure. No, but I mean like. Up until about 4 years ago. Up until about 4 years ago, we were distributed in Muscle Foods USA.
Yes, because like 2018 January was like no more Muscle Foods.
Yep. And we made the strategic decision, which immediately we knew we were going to take a hit on sales because they were distributing our products to a lot of vendors, and we were going to have to pick those up direct now and build back those relationships. We made that decision for a couple of reasons. One is we wanted to be able to get better margin. So basically cutting out a middleman in there. So we wanted to get better margin to our retailers. I think the big thing is Core has always been an education brand. It's a higher end brand that needs a little bit more education. And at the end of the day, a lot of sales reps in distribution are not doing that education. They're order takers, right? So they're not going to go out and sell for you. Yet we were, at the time, there was just some miscommunication. So, like, they would expect us to basically turn over accounts to them, you know, which is, like, we're building the relationship. Why would we turn an account over to you to lose the margin? That's not what we wanted, right? And then if we did sell to one of their accounts, not on purpose, but just we had that relationship, they'd get mad, like, feeling like we were trying to steal it out from under them, which was not the intent. It was not a good partner. I think we worked it out with Muscle Foods because we then went with them with Merica Energy, and it was a very good relationship.
Right.
But I think at the time, the communication on the core side was just not good with them. So we pulled out. And at the end of the day, it was a great move for us. We took a hit right off the bat, which we knew we would. And then, since then, the brand has been growing awesome. So this year, after having a record year last year and smashing that this year, on the pace to smash it this year, we were approached by Europa to carry the brand. Now, Europa just went through some financial troubles, right? They've came out on the other side of it with a new backer, and they were going to peel away a lot of the brands that they carried before, a lot of the fluff, and they wanted some more brands to focus on. And we have a very complete brand, which is really good for them. So in that conversation, it was made very clear because we wanted to make sure that we were protected, the brand was protected. We've spent 15 years now building this brand. We weren't going to go into another distribution relationship, one, expecting to turn over accounts, two, letting them sell it to everybody, right? Three, potentially letting them ruin the brand that way. And I think those are valid concerns that other retailers might see. But we went in there with a little more foresight this time and made sure that there were things in place to protect our good retail partners, such as the product will not be sold through Europa to anybody who is an Amazon or third-party seller, so selling through Walmart or eBay. So they can't do that. So they just can't do it. Even selling to a retailer who has an online website, they need to get permission for us first. So there's controls in their system where they can flag these things, where they can't even sell it to them, invoice them until they get approval from us, right? And at the end of the day, it was talked through that it was one, also that we get prompt payment on good payment terms. That was another key one, especially because Europa just went through difficult times. So we made sure to have that. That was more to protect us. But it was a partnership in that both sides, us and Europa, understood that this was for incremental business. And sometimes we would maybe turn over an account if it made sense. Like sometimes us fulfilling a $250 retailer order is just like, it's more hassle than it is worth. So
when that retailer, like let's just say,
is already buying stuff.
Let's just say a gym.
Yeah.
Maybe they need multiple things, right? So it makes sense.
They're buying RTDs and protein and other stuff. So maybe it makes sense for them to turn over Europa, and that would help us. So that helps our partnership. But we weren't going to just go turn over accounts to them. This was literally for them to go out and get incremental business with places where we didn't already have a relationship. So for us, it was kind of a win-win situation. What's the worst that could happen, right? They're going to get us in some more places that we didn't know. If with all these controls in place, this shouldn't be an issue. And at the same time, we agreed that because this is a partnership, if they go out and put us in places, we're not going to come in and swoop in and try to steal that account direct, because clearly we make more money when we sell direct to a retailer than when we go through distribution, because Europa has to make a margin too.
Right. And that's that's probably the ultimate fear that distribution has. That's where like Muscle Foods had.
Yeah.
If they got a new door, because we had direct business, they were fearful that we would swoop in and steal it.
But that's just not how we do business.
That's not how we do business. And the communication has been upfront. And great with. And they're 35 minutes down the road, most of all the reps, and I plan on working down there a couple times a month. So,
yeah. So it made sense. So from all those reasons, so for all the retailers out there that were like, whoa, Core's going to Europa, I hope you can see from our perspective, there really was no downside to this move, right? It's just potential upside. Now, the small-minded retail, oh my gosh, Europa's going to sell to everyone. Everyone's going to have the product now. I'm no longer going to be the man in the town. Kind of goes back to the same exclusive issue, right? Like, because we did get maybe not to that level of, but there were definitely some questions on like,
there were some questions from people,
like how's this going to affect us? Well, if you take a bigger picture approach, one is continue to do what you do best, and that's service your customers with an amazing experience. It's only going to help you because it's going to create bigger brand awareness. So let's say Core ends up in Dick's, whatever. I don't know. Walmart. I don't know. I don't think. Well, first of all, Europa wouldn't distribute it to your Walmart, but you get the point, right? Like that's why I think Total War going into Walmart was awesome because it's a premium pre-workout, premium price at $40, and it's moving well in Walmart. That opens the door to others, but it also creates a wider brand awareness, right? That might actually help.
It creates a supplement awareness.
Right?
No proprietary blend type awareness.
And that, at the end of the day, could also help out the mom and pop.
Right.
You know? So, like, I don't get worried. I know some people hated on, Aaron for doing that, but I don't think that was a bad thing. Yeah. But this is kind of the same situation, right? Like, it's going to create more brand awareness for you. There's going to be more people familiar with Core. This is a win for everybody. Especially now, if we didn't have those protections in place, that could be a problem. Because if you don't have control in your distribution, and they start selling it to every mom and pop who has an Amazon account, like how many we get so many inquiries for people that want to sell on their Amazon account, but we say no because Pat doesn't even respond anymore because we just we have our Amazon on lockdown in terms of who we do. It's only one person controls it to that whole thing. So, if we didn't have those controls in place, that could be difficult because then what you could have is some idiot on Amazon breaking MAP, selling it way below MAP. I should also add in here that there are MAP protections too, so there'll be MAP communication to all the retailers.
Well, it's like the I don't know, I'm searching for a word, but before we discuss any of this, the reminder that we're Core Nutritionals, a MAP protected brand for 15 years.
Yeah.
And like the listeners understand what MAP is.
So minimum advertised price. So basically if you're a retailer, you can't advertise that the price is lower than this MAP price.
Yeah. So we set a price, you can't advertise below it. Now, what you do at the point of sale is up to you.
Right, like he's like your best buddy comes in, you want to hook him up with a 20% discount. We can't control that, right? Like that's beyond our scope.
Right.
But it's just like when you go buy a pair of Oakley sunglasses or whatever, it's always the same price everywhere you go.
And it's controlled, and we cut off people that do not abide by that. And
so
we've had control of that.
If we didn't have these in place,
right,
people could go on Amazon, and literally some people will go on Amazon to make $1. They'll do it because they can move a ton of volume because they just undercut everyone else, and that's all they do. And they can destroy a brand. So in that sense, but knowing that we have these things in place and hopefully trusting that you know our brand well enough now for those retailers out there that, we wouldn't do this if it wasn't well calculated.
Right.
Right. So, but you've had some conversations. People had.
Yeah,
and I'm assuming you walk through those. All those things.
Most of the conversations, I've only had a few. Like I can count them on at least two hands, probably one. They've been partners that have just, okay, so I saw this, didn't hear it from you. I have some questions. Let's have a conversation about it. And we have a conversation about it. The fear, most of the fear is kind of like that thing that we talked about in the beginning, which is territory, which is homeboy down the street is known to try to undercut us. And we've built a lot of, we've spent a lot of resources on building Core Nutritionals in this area. And if Europa sells to that guy, he has the potential to undercut us, and that would hurt us because we've spent a lot of resources on building.
And that's fair. So, and we also have in place the ability to, if there are those specific people, we put flags in the system at Europa where they just can't sell to that person.
And that's my walkthrough.
Yep.
Right. Like I reiterate during this time, we wouldn't have made this decision to hurt you. Understand that. Right. Like before you get frustrated and call me and yell at me, take a breath. Take a Delta 8 gummy. Relax. Just relax.
Give somebody a hug.
Think about it, and then give me a call, and we'll have a constructive conversation about it because we would not make a move like this to hurt what we've built, especially in the past 4 years when we've done everything business to business. Right. We've built a lot in the past 4 years, and we wouldn't do something that would affect that growth.
Yeah.
Right. So we're in control. I reiterate, we are in the driver's seat. So, as a strong partner of ours, if there is a Joe Schmo down the street that could potentially pick up the brand that's going to undercut, just let me know. I have great communication with these guys. I'll communicate that, hey, like, we crush with this store. They go direct with us.
Yeah.
And this store could potentially hurt that business. So we want to tread this lightly. pretty much don't want it sold in that area.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that all that's.
But in that conversation too, I was like, you got to understand one of the big plays was Academy Sports, the ones you mentioned, Gold's Gym, corporate. They do not go direct business to business with brands. They go through distributions.
Right.
So if we want an opportunity to grow, we can only go here sometimes by ourselves. Sometimes to go here, you need some help, right? And there could be a potential that you might have mentioned the Gold's Gym. Well, it could be sold there, and I'm not going to be able to tell Europa or you can sell that Gold's, but you can't sell this Gold's.
Yeah,
it's not going to work that way, and this.
But that's what it falls back to.
Right.
Don't worry about the guy walking into the gym buying core. Worry about the experience you give when that person walks into your store, right? Because you can't control. There's people walking into that gym whether they buy core or they buy another brand.
Oh, yes, Lord.
Preach it.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, do you know how to clean a toilet? Can you front some products? Can you just dress appropriately, groom your beard and your mustache? Can you say hello, happy to see you today? I mean, good Lord, it's just some basics you guys just get an F at if I was reviewing your store. Lord.
What are we talking about? Lord have mercy on you.
Is that the difference between what happens in a gym who's selling a product and a retailer, or what?
Yeah, these
straight up
retailers
talking about experiences,
because it really does. It boils down to the experience. I mean, outside of your door is a part of your experience. When I do a store review, I'm looking for cobwebs and beehives. I'm looking the metal frames on the outside of the doors better be spick and span. You know, I'm looking at everything from the moment they get out of their car. They are creating a relationship with you. They are creating a first impression with you. So where are you located at? You know, that's a part of the experience you're giving your clients to come to your store. You know, when they walk into the store, what kind of music is playing? What do they smell? You know, when they have to use your bathroom, you know, I went to one place.
We love going into other retailers and you go using the bathroom to see if it's cuck approved.
Approved.
Pat will send videos.
Yeah, Pat would send me some videos, and we would share them with the team, and the team would think that, you know, Carl, you're an asshole for doing this, and then they'd see other stores and be like, okay, I get it, you know.
I think one of my favorite parts of going into this next managers meeting coming up is there's a whole new world that we're going to see, a bunch of new people.
Yeah.
But is sharing and reminding these guys that you are part of one of the best nutrition store chains in this country, and let me tell you why. And
because Carl does the booger test, teaches the booger test.
That's right, the booger test. If any of you guys out there want to know what the booger test is, Carl Frady, Third Power, Instagram, DM me, and I will give you a video showing you what the booger test is.
With your pants down or your pants up?
I don't know. I mean, it's gonna have to be pants up.
So I think you need to tell the people what the booger test is.
Do we want to go back to the origination of the booger test?
Sure.
Or just, you know, so basically,
tell the story how you want.
Basically, in my previous career, One Life Fitness, a chain of gyms that started off as Gold's Gyms. We were creating gyms that was a completely different experience of what the Gold's Gym experience was. Gold's Gym is notorious for bodybuilding and so on and so forth, and we were creating gyms that weren't circled around that. But people wouldn't come into our Gold's Gyms because they thought that we were just a bunch of bodybuilders inside. So we changed the name. One Life Fitness was created. 60, 70, 80,000 square feet of just everything that a fitness center can offer to you. So think of a Lifetime, LA Fitness, all this good stuff. So I'm a neat freak. I like organization. I like to take something and put it into writing and checklists and so on and so forth, because it also makes it very teachable that way. We would have these conventions down in the Caribbean. We'd circle all of the GMs, the AGMs, the PT directors, you know, people behind the scenes, accountants, like anybody who was who in the company would come down. We'd celebrate and we'd learn and we'd play for 5 days. And play is important. And
when we go into the islands, we have our island.
CODG. So we should definitely.
I think within the next 365 days, we need to have a company retreat to the islands.
We just have a company retreat down here to Lake Norman. I mean, what can't we do?
I guess that's true.
Jet skis.
And then we got to do our man cabin.
Yeah.
You know, in the woods.
We can blow some stuff up out back here. I don't think.
And then the wolf pack can go to Vegas.
Yeah. Yes. And so basically, I was told, hey, Carl, we would like for you to present the cleaning of a gym. How do you do it? Can you put everything in writing that you do? and I'll put a PowerPoint presentation together. And this is the guy that was above me, like an IT guy. And because I've never done a PowerPoint presentation, I'm fine with speaking in front of people, but it's like, all right, sure. So I literally verbatim write down everything that I do. I give it over to him. And at this point, I'm in front of everybody and I'm giving my speech on what it is that I do. And I'm reading the PowerPoint for guides. And I read the line, sit on the toilet and check for boogers. And I pause and I'm like, holy shit, did I just say that in front of everybody? And they all started dying laughing. But that's what I do. When I teach somebody to clean the toilet, and you clean it top to bottom, inside out, the whole sides, I mean everything, then you sit on the toilet and you look around. And because you have a different perspective, eye level of what you see when you sit on that toilet. Because
this needs to be a metaphor for life.
That's the perspective.
I like it.
That's the perspective of what someone who sits down on your toilet as a client is going to see. Are they going to see curse words? Or are they going to see boogers that were hidden up under here?
Well, I like it now.
Now
I'm thinking, the sit on the toilet and check for boogers isn't just how you clean your toilet. It's how you run your store.
Yes.
Right?
This is genius, right? Gary V, watch out.
Like once you set the mood for your store, you like get in 10 minutes early, say hi to your store. I used to tell when I was managing, like, tell your store good morning. Walk into your store, say hi store, how you doing? Just love that store, right? But then set the store up, get the music playing, and then walk out and walk in from the perspective of the customer. What do you see? What is the music you hear? What is that smell? Like changing your perspective.
Should we change the name of this podcast to sit on the toilet and check for boogers? I think it's a good clickbait, if nothing else.
So,
I like it.
Can that be the subtitle underneath small? Although it doesn't really have anything to do with that, but I think it helps you run a business better.
You need to run a tight ship.
Well,
just because you're a supplement
just
store.
The way
think bigger.
That thinking, it's just a different way of thinking. So stop thinking from your perspective. Flip it around and think from
I like how you tied that together. That was great.
Yeah, flip it around and think from the perspective of that other business partner or that customer or that booger.
It makes so much sense.
When you go and you sit down on a toilet, next time, every single one of you people do this, go sit on a toilet and just look around and just see what you see.
Man, if that wasn't just some classic... I missed
ball status.
That was epic.
I think we got to... I
think we just got to stop there. That was, I don't know just what happened. Like everyone touched tips or something. There was something crazy just happened. Yeah. Oh. Cheers. All right. Is that a wrap?
I think we're coming up on an hour.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, start thinking bigger. Don't have that immediate attacked mindset. Flip it around, look at it from maybe the other side's perspective, check for boogers.
I think I just got better as a person.
And keep crushing it.
Yeah. Because God knows I'd flip out on people.
You totally.
I need to turn around and think about some boogers.
Yeah, exactly. I think we all just got better. All right, guys. Till next time, keep crushing it.